Oh, I didn't even see you there. My apologies. My name is Lord Simon Kensington, and I've decided that it would become pertinent to share the rather extensive wealth of my experience and knowledge with the rest of the Kindred society at large. So, thusly, I'm doing this with the help of my ghoul, Melissa. Wonderful, darling Melissa. You've done fabulous. So if I just talk at the little box, that's all that that's... Delightful. Could we do one of the ones with the puppy nose? I think that's adorable. At any rate, welcome to the first episode of Keeping Up with the Kensingtons. I am again your host, Lord Simon Kensington, and I will be giving you some advice, my general thoughts and impressions, and answering any and all questions that you may have for me. So, let's get started, shall we? Oh, before we do that, Vino Vitae, truly the drink of life. Now, I myself am a vintner of some repute. Bloodthorn Wineries, if you've ever heard them. As a matter of fact, this particular vintage, if I'm not mistaken, is... Oh, yes. This is a redhead named by the name of Gregory, if I'm not mistaken. Wonderful chap. I will miss him. Ah, wonderful. So, the first question we have this evening: in a situation where you have found that one of your lineage is sleeping with a member of an undesirable clan, does the Camarilla give you the autonomy to reclaim the descendant's blood for embarrassing your family? First off, this is a very specific question. And quite frankly, I don't know which part to address first, but I'll do my best. First off, if someone in my lineage was sleeping with anyone, that would be my first problem. We are masquerading. I'm a 2,000-year-old creature. The last thing I want to be doing is rotting like some common beast, regardless of what clan they are. And the fact that you would come here and ask me this question implies to me that perhaps you have this issue, and in which case I would say, sweetheart, if someone has to inform you on how to take care of your own lineage, you've lost control already. Sorry. Secondly, an undesirable clan. Sweets, we are the Camarilla. All clans are desirable here. As a matter of fact, I was just saying the other day that the Camarilla, should it ever occur, and the thrice-damned Sabbat actually give up their silly crusade, and wish to join the light and dignity and beauty that is the Tower, they would have a place here too. All clans have a place amongst us. Unfortunately, of course, they are lost in their own little perversions. Scary bunch if you've never met them. Would I reclaim my descendants' blood for embarrassing my family? First off, if you have to resort to violence, you've already lost. I wouldn't have to resort to violence to embarrass them, because quite frankly, all of my lineage, House Kensington, that is to say, knows far, far better than to embarrass their patriarch. And in fact, I chose quite carefully who was allowed to share in my blood. The problem that you apparently are having is that your children frivolously frittered away your blood upon lesser choices. In the future, I suggest you be more discriminating. Good question. Next question. What is the procedure for investigating your clan for Sabbat infiltration? What is the procedure for investigating the Toreador? I would imagine that would be the same as any other clan, really. Done by the prestigious Justicariats, and they are quite thorough, I can promise you. But I have to say That doesn't happen. No one comes to the Camarilla without first being very, very carefully vetted. And of course, we would not let in just any rabble. No offense to anyone who feels that may call to them. Oh dear, we have a question here. Do you approve of any of the more undesirable clans like the Sumeri? Well, first, I think I know whom this question comes from. And secondly, I love you, Babs. You stay beautiful. There's no such thing as an undesirable clan. As I'd stated before, all clans have their place, and all blood can lend itself to the culture and light of the tower. Good vino vitae. As a matter of fact, if anyone is wishing to try some, it is for sale. All things are for sale, though, aren't they? I've learned that from my Ventrue friends. Wonderful people, the Ventrue. If you've never met one, I'd really ask why you're living under a rock, because they are a prolific clan of kings and rulers who have a singular vision for this clan, for their clan, and this sect. And quite frankly, I cannot think of the more finer, upstanding kindred. What is your opinions on the events of Bangladesh, and how do you feel about the official mandate handed down about the mothers and fathers? What happened in Bangladesh? I mean, there's a lot of things that I'm sure have happened in Bangladesh, but I'm sure there's one in particular that you're referring to, and I'll have to admit I have been distracted as of late, which would be the last century or so. Been quite busy. It's very hard to teach yourself Attic Greek if you don't know the root languages, and quite frankly, the official mandate handed down about the mothers and fathers. Our clan founders are the mothers and fathers, kindly looking down upon us throughout the ages. They will gently guide us and protect us from those things that best be left unknown to us. Oh, here's an interesting one. I am doing a lot of things that involve killing, and I don't know how much longer I'm going to maintain my humanity. That's not really a question, that's more of a statement, but I think I understand where you're headed here. Luckily for you, I'm an educated man. I would suggest one find their nearest toreador. Every city should have a good clutch of toreador, a wonderful garden of roses, if you will. I know that my roses are the most outstanding and upstanding roses of any clan, family. But when one is in fear of losing one's humanitas, it falls to those that stand as shining examples of culture, civility, and decorum. And I often find that the best examples of these are those people that have enraptured themselves in an eternity of attempting to perfect their art form, as well as their culture and their decorum. And to this end, I would suggest you find a toreador. The primogen of the city can easily assist you in finding someone who may help you regain what you're losing. An appreciation, if you will. And of course, my dear, dear child, of course I'm still wearing the pin. Oh dear, it appears my dear friend Delacroix is missing. Ooh. Wonderful chap. Not all there. Malkavian by trade. Next question. what is your opinion on the Tower Herald? The Tower Herald is exactly what harpies should do, which is, if I may conjure up a modern term of phrase, harpies going to harp. Which is to say that, like any good harpy, they are going to spread gossips and rumors and half-truths and some truths mixed in with so many other inalienable factors. And to that end, they're doing exactly what they're supposed to. Putting it out on blast as a periodical for everyone is an interesting twist. Not something that one would have seen even 100 years ago. Let alone 300 years ago. Cities at their own were, of course, their own entities, ruled by a prince, and the harpy, of course, embedded in rumor-mongering and the like, which is what they do, their purview, why they were brought on by the Primogen Council, would often embed themselves into the local politics to the point of losing the greater picture. And I find that those who have kept the wider view of history are the ones that have a tendency to live long enough to enjoy it. Having said that, the Tower Herald is a publication produced by a harpy. And to be quite frank with all of you, I was going for the high score of being mentioned in the Tower Herald the most times. I feel like I've fallen off, though. I'm only in it like 3 or 4 times, if I'm not mistaken. Good times, though. Here's to you, Harpy. Good stuff. Would his lordship accept a request for me to purchase some of your vintage and an invitation to sit with me at a quite exquisite Serpents Coming event and dine with your wondrous vintage and converse? Oh, there's so much more to this one. Frivolous topics. From a local setite. We actually have an independent alliance domain very near Colorado Springs, up in the mountains. They hold the 2 towns of Cripple Creek and, what is the other one? Woodland Park, held by the Giovanni specifically. Lucius is this particular setite's name. And of course, Lucius, my good man, we can meet somewhere and have a wonderful vintage together. Now, I know what many of you are saying. An elder of the tower consorting with serpents? Of course. But you've always heard the adage of the frog and the scorpion, correct? The difference being is that when I pick up the gun, I know it's loaded, so I won't point it to my head. Not that that would really do anything now, but I believe you get the term. Harpies Hagen and Miller will be quite flattered you spoke so kindly of them. Of course. I know they were not so kind of me in the past, but such is what harpies do. They have done a fantastic job with that publication, and I would caution anyone from speaking ill of harpies. They have a tendency to keep grudges. Having said that, never listen wholeheartedly to anything anyone tells you. There's a reason that we call this the world of darkness. Everything's hidden behind doublespeak and half-truths. I mean, if we were to give everyone the whole truth, imagine how fast that would break down. It would be fun to watch. Oh, well, thank you so much, Babs. I appreciate the thought. Oh, here's a question. What is your long-standing feud with Sigrid? Oh, dear. Someone has finally asked the question. What's up my crawl with Sigrid of the True North? Prince of Chicago, by the way. And kudos to you, dear. Not what I would have done, getting embroiled as a prince of any domain, really. Too many targets on your back. Ugh. I'd rather flit away my time drinking vino vitae, surrounded by my most close associates. Having said that, of course, what's up my craw with Sigrid of the True North? I suppose the short answer is it's really none of your goddamn business. And the longer answer would be, we're not really that angry at each other. But play fighting every once in a while does relieve the boredom of centuries. And she's so fiery. I mean, even a minor compliment on her hair almost got my shirt scuffed up. It's one of her lapdogs, I can't remember his name, was very angry about what I'd said. I just said her hair looked like straw, which was a compliment on the color, and not its consistency. But what would we do? Without the brouhaha, this sect would have no passion, no fire, no enjouement, for those of you who know. Having said that, I believe that all the clans, as I have stated before, are important, and they all have their place. The brouhaha give us our passion and our drive. That drive is directed by the Ventru. It gives us our focus and our determination, the will that drives that passion. Of course, the Toreador, we keep ourselves humble. We remind us that we must hold off that beast that scratches behind our eyes. We must find the beauty and the peace, even in those moments of passion. The Malkavians, they are our eyes, our perception. They understand things that we do not. Veritable seer, if you will. The Nosferatu, they are the dark and hidden things. They are the enforcers. They are the spy masters. They are the advisors and the wise ones, for they know things that no one else cares to know. Then, of course, there's the Tremere, and they are very much our The Tremere are our imagination. Yes? Their ability to take something old and make it into something new. They are the inventiveness of our sect. The Assamites, of course, are new and are still finding their place amongst the sect, but I have high hopes for them. Many of the ones that I've met that decided to join the tower are the most delightful of people. Strange, admittedly, but if we were all the same, how absolutely dull that would be. Some days I just wonder if I wouldn't just be a ravening ball of rage and ennui. But que sera? And the gangrel? Well, the gangrel are the acceptance of our beast, and the knowledge that although we may abate that creature with culture and life and hope, that it is always constantly our companion, and that we must learn to live with it, lest it become as plain as the ears on our heads. So, that appears to be all of the... Oh, what was the cost of the... So, for those of you who do know, there was some how-to-do at the National Gathering in Austin. It was eventful. Again, a tip of my hat to you, Mr. Flint. You certainly drove that price up, and I give you a due credit for that. Having said that, the whole blood contract thing is something that has been out of my hands for quite some time now, and is far gone. I'm sure it is well taken care of, being carried by the Justicariat, protected and whatnot, for the security of the sect, of course. But someone once asked me what the price was, and I tell them the same thing I get asked every time. High. Was it too high? I would say no. When Madame Guy approached our clan and stated that for the security of the sect, she wished for us to own what it was that the Giovanni were auctioning off, I took it as my personal duty, as an upstanding member of this sect, to purchase whatever it was, regardless of cost. Money, no object, boons can be remade, but opportunities to really serve come along so rarely. Oh, Christian, my dear child, what is wrong? For those of you who are not sure, Christian Gerald Marceau is my child. Embraced him many, many centuries ago. Wonderful painter. If you ever need a commission done, please make sure you find him. He is of the most delicate and exquisite hand. Why, thank you very much, dear. I do look fabulous, don't I? It's the ascot, I think. I'm really working on bringing them back. Although for people like me, they were never really out of style. Oh, and it is good to see you too, my Ventru dear. I do hope the nights find you well. Ah, good evening, Candy. How are you? Again, for those of you that don't know, the Vino Vitae tonight is my own personal stock, blended by myself from Bloodthorn Wineries, and I am taking orders. Well, as a matter of fact, if anyone happens to make it up to Toronto in the next few months, they are having a fabulous fashion show being held by the most promising up-and-coming Ancilla that I have ever met. Absolutely wonderful rose he is, and I was utterly astounded by his vision and his passion that I have donated over 200 liters of my own Vino Vitae from Bloodthorn Wineries for the event. You must go. It is absolutely wonderful. The wine will be exquisite, if I do say so, and the fashion will be unbelievable. Can you speak about the feelings about my feelings regarding the status ban on non-pillar clans? This goes back to the idea that if you would like to enjoy what I have, you must put in the same work that I have. There are individuals who come from clans of dubious provenance. Coming here, these individuals may work tirelessly to endeavor to build a good name and reputation for themselves. But it is not without precedent that these individuals have come to the Camarilla in an attempt to build something for themselves and ended up worming their way into the deepest parts of local politics until the prince has to dig them out like an embedded tick because they are infiltrators attempting to tear down something that is absolutely and utterly invincible. Having said that, the status ban on lesser clans, or non-pillar clans, as you put it, I believe is simply a hurdle to be overcome. Nothing is insurmountable. But there's no such thing as true freedom. Everyone is beholden to somebody. And everyone has to answer for something. Right? Even our dearest anarchs. They espouse the idea of freedom from this or freedom from that. But they're still beholden to so many things. Their own addictions. The barren. Human society, even. It's just different levels of the same gilded cage, really. But I personally have no issues with any non-pillar clan. The status ban, unfortunately, was an idea that came down from much, much higher than me. And as we are all beholden to someone, so must too I answer to somebody else. So when the Justicariat tells me that non-pillar clans will have a status ban, I must simply accept that. And if that is not an acceptable answer, it's not unheard of for clans to come into the Camarilla or to leave. And I would suggest you start taking the long view, the view of centuries, millennia. And eventually you may find your way into weaseling around that, or to circumventing it entirely by changing it. And in that way, all can achieve their dreams, their hopes, their desires, no matter how unconventional they may be. Because once you realize that you have all of eternity, you realize that a perfect answer tomorrow may be better than a good answer today. Or you might have the absolute answer in a few decades. And there's nothing wrong in waiting. There's some best advice I was ever given. It was the best way to beat your opponent is to outlive them. Why, that's very true. Everyone does need a 100-year plan. I would almost say 100 years is short-term goals. Long-term goals, 500, 600 years. I mean, I still have goals that are in the works right now that I've made back before Napoleon Bonaparte was even born. Wonderful gentleman, by the way. Got a really bad rap. Very short, though. But the French were never known for being a tall people, were they? Or am I thinking of Germans? Nah. Doesn't really matter, I suppose. So, are there any other questions that we have out there? Anything coming up? Oh, yes. I almost forgot to mention. There was... Oh, hello. Yes, I know you're... Yeah, and you're very short, Christian. I know you're French. My child is wondering why I would say that. He goes, I'm French. I know you're French. You're also short. How does the exponential growth of technology shift those long-term plans? That is an interesting question, and one that I feel like I still don't have a perfect answer for, or really even a good answer. Why, even 100 years ago, the idea of me being able to talk at a small box on my counter and be seen by potentially thousands, if not millions of people would have easily landed immortal somewhere in the loony bin. But then again, creatures like us are not good at what we call change. Thusly, we bring in those who are good at change. People from the current century, or even the current decade, depending on how technology has changed. There are many things going on right now that I do not fully comprehend, but I do know how to employ the right people that do comprehend it and can translate that into something that I will understand. So perhaps the best answer I can come up with right now is that my long-term plans and their relationship to the shifting technology can only be accounted for and countered by me choosing to employ the right people to be able to explain and deal with that shifting technology. I myself am almost to the point of not even caring. How do I stay so utterly dapper? Interesting question, Babs. I have no other choice. I can only do what I know how to do. What I do know how to do is dress well, speak eloquently, make wonderful wine, woo the ladies and men, and some things in between. It also doesn't hurt that I employ my own tailor. Wonderful gentleman, McElroy. I don't recall his first name, I've never used it. McElroy is just the most exquisite tailor, and honest, if I had found him when he was perhaps 60 years younger, which would put him at 18, I would have easily embraced him and brought him in with his absolute artistic ability to take fabric and make it into a garment of the most exquisite quality. Do excellent makeup. I'm not going to lie, my dear, I don't fully understand what that was supposed to mean. Do I do excellent makeup? Well, I think I do. But this is actually not mine. My great-great-great-great-grandchild, Julia Montgomery Westwood, did my makeup this evening. It's a little quick. She did it, and she originally wanted to do a lot of color. She's very, very talented, but I like simple lines and elegant profiles. And I felt like this was the best option I had. Especially because I was being obnoxious about it, I'm sure. But she's a gem. Absolutely lovely. If anybody has ever needed any makeup done and had any questions, find Julia Montgomery Westwood of House Kensington. She will turn whatever palette you have into the most magnificent face that you ever wore anywhere. Most beloved, it's so wonderful to see you with an online presence. I wish I could watch all night, but I have 2 scenes to film before morning. Oh, my great-grandchild, Vivian. Wonderful girl. You really must see some of her films. Absolutely cutting-edge stuff. I remember the first film I ever saw. It was 2 cats boxing each other. At the time, I was utterly amazed. I'd never seen anything like that before. Moving pictures that were able to be projected onto a surface. Looking back now, it was so mind-blowing and life-altering. And how mundane that seems nowadays. That I'm able to speak live to what appears to be 15 or 16 people. That's really, really interesting. It really puts things into perspective, especially when you've been alive since the birth of Rome. Huh. Well, I think that has been my first attempt at maintaining an online presence here, and I think I have done acceptably. But it seems as though people must be off tonight, and well, quite frankly, the night has just begun. And there are some matters that I must attend to as well. So, I'm Lord Simon Kensington, Patriarch of House Kensington, and Luminary Elder of the Rose. And I bid you all a fond good evening, and I shall see you again quite soon, I hope.